On the other ledger, my bad thing is the Vegas Golden Knights lately. Guys, Vegas Golden Knights are just not – they're just not looking great.
Hot golden.
Yeah, ever since I mean, here's the thing, and if you read my my power rankings this week, I talk about them and I forget where I ranked them, but they're 4-5-1 in the last 10. They just put obviously they put Mark Stone on IR at the same time that Jack Eichel came into the fray. I think a lot of people may look at a headline and say that Jack Eichel is not fitting in with the team or yada yada yada, but his points and the fact that he just came off a major surgery would suggest that he's doing fine. In my mind, and I guess I want to ask James, how much do you think this team misses their captain, Mark Stone?
So much. Oh my. Yeah, a lot. A lot of people, because they put Mark Stone on IR and they brought in Jack Eichel, like you said, they were like, oh yeah, we're not going to lose all that much. But they brought in a circle to replace a square. You can't replace Mark Stone. Different players, exactly. Mark Stone is more of a physical guy who doesn't really care if he scores or not, because for a long time he wasn't really on the point sheet. He was kind of just doing his thing. He's all like Philip Deneau is when we talked about Philip Deneau last week. He's the kind of guy that's in the right spot at the right time, makes the right plays. And if his stats show it, great. If they don't, also great, because he's the captain and he knows his worth to this team. Jack Eichel is more of just the scorer. Like, Jack Eichel came from a losing franchise, a franchise that lost so much, and he grew up in this NHL system losing. So now he's put on this team that's a winner, and he only does one thing in that score. He can't really do much else because he hasn't really learned to kind of give that grit, because you're going to make the playoffs, because it's rough up in Buffalo. And so now he's coming to a place where his scoring isn't necessarily what they need. It's his physicality, or if it's just being at the right spot at the right time. And it's weird for him, because for the longest time, he was just a scorer. It's trying to find a new spot in the system for him and trying to replace Mark Stone. It's tough to do. And Jack Eichel won't be that player.
No,
they're very different players. He'll never be the kind of guy that Mark Stone is. And it's up to Vegas to kind of look within and see who else can step up, because it's not going to be Jack Eichel.
No, it's not going to be Jack Eichel to step up in that direction. I think to your point, he did get brought on to score, and they can't expect him to change that, because everybody knows on this podcast that Vegas has had an issue with scoring for the longest time. I do find it interesting. I mean, I would expect Mark Stone to be back and I could be wrong, so don't quote me. I expect him to be back at least by playoffs. I would not be. I mean, at the very least, they might pull a Tampa Bay and bring him in at right there. The problem is, I don't know if they're going to make it. They have the same. They're looking like the Oilers right now, where they're just like, I think if we win, we could trade their spot. We move in there. I could be wrong, or it might be like 1 or 2 points. I could check right here. No, we're 4 points behind, but we also have a game in hand, so it's pretty tight.
That's close.
It's pretty tight, and just the way they're training is not looking good. But Jack Eichel's looking fine. I mean, I can't dog on him. It's actually to me, it's pretty surprising that he's come back and he's playing 18 to 20 minutes a game. I mean, after just major surgery, that's quite impressive, and he's almost at point per game status right from there, which is good to see. But I guess I want to ask Tyler. I mean, you have not been the two guys on this, formerly on this podcast, that were Kings haters. I'm sorry, Knights haters. They absolutely hated the Knights. You and I are just a little bit more neutral. Like, we appreciate them. So I want to ask you, given the trend, I mean, are you worried for the Vegas Golden Knights?
I'm worried. This could potentially be a really disastrous season, and then could leak not only to this season, but for, I think, a long period of time. Because you look at how this team is structured, they got a lot of money going into guys that just are injured a lot or are going to be free agents soon. And there's not a lot. They don't have a lot of cap space. They pretty much filled it up. So this is the team you're working with at the moment. And if it's not going to succeed, that's going to be a major rebuild. And I think you'll see a very different Golden Knights team starting next season than you do right now, especially if they don't make the playoffs. So yeah, I'm pretty worried. I mean, I saw a stat online that said the forwards of the Golden Knights have scored just 36 goals in the last 22 games. And that's about averaging just over a goal and a half from their forwards to get the position that you're supposed to be scoring, right? That's a pretty shitty average. For those that don't know. You want to probably see that number probably closer to 3, right? So it's a problem. Leonard, I think, is a big question mark how he's going to perform if he can stay healthy too. There's just so much health problems as you mentioned with Stone. A lot of guys that just, Carlson, where's he been at, man? Like, right. He just had a shitty season. A lot of these guys that are supposed to be their dogs just are not performing very well at the moment. And then, like I said, there's still a good chunk of the season. Maybe it's just a lull right now. But as you also mentioned, they've had a pattern of not being able to score. And it's kind of the same group of guys. So I don't really have faith that that's going to change a whole lot. They just have to faith that they can, shore up some things on the defensive side. They have to play elite defense to make this run. And that's a lot of pressure putting on one side of the puck. I don't think they can do much at the trade deadline. Like, what are they going to really do? You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of stuck with the team they got. So I'm pretty worried for the Golden Knights right now.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say to that is the Golden Knights have never not been in some person, like some player. Like they always find a way to fucking add a guy. Always. Like, it's fucking stupid. Yeah. I know true. Whether that means they're sending away one of the OG Golden Knights for the year. I mean, for this year, it could be William Karlsson. He might go back. He might leave. I mean, we don't know. I mean, those guys that were drafted there in the expansion draft aren't safe, and so we'll see. I think that their main focus is look. They can't miss the playoffs. They can't. I mean, they just can't afford that. I think that they're going to find any way they can to get into the playoffs, and their main focus is to fit Mark Stone into the fray. Whether that's before or after the playoffs. And I think that depending on what his injury is, clearly it's something, whatever that injury is, if they are in need of him to make it, that's their deadline move. You're moving a guy out for nothing so that they can just fit him in, because they can't right now. They can't fit him in. So it's either they're crossing their fingers that they can make it to the playoffs, or they're going to have to bring him in earlier and we're going to see someone leave. So we'll see how the next couple of weeks goes. I think that there's a lot of thought, there's a little bit of worry, but all these good teams go through these lulls. And while I am worried, we'll see how everything pans out at the end.